My OpenClaw video last week did really well, where I set up my own locally hosted version called Gerald, and it's brilliant. This is the start of a series where we're going to set it up from scratch together, and we're going to call it Gerald 2.0 because it's going to be much more improved. Everything you need for this series will be down in the description below, including Docker Compose files, commands I run in order. So if you get stuck, you can just copy and paste the commands down there. And if you do need help, you can add me on Instagram at NathServer, and you can send me a message. I'm happy to help you get this up and running too. So I just want to thank everyone for taking the time to comment on the last video. But bringing up our terminal here, so I'm on my mini PC. Now this is our DDR5 standard PC, so this doesn't have a GPU in it or anything. That's what we're going to use for NAN itself. And then inside this directory, you'll see I've just got a couple of files here, as well as a hidden.env file. So what you want to do is create the same files. So the Docker Compose will look like this. It looks a bit weird because you have all these like environmental variables, but this Docker Compose here is for using HTTP for webhooks, because we're going to do Cloudflare later on down the video, so we can access it outside our households and outside the local network. But for now, we're just going to set it up internally. Now, your port here, I would set this to 5678. That'll be the one in the description below. Mine says 5679 because I already have another personal instance which I don't want to be messing about with. And this service up here is Postgres. It's just a database, so we can store some AI memory and some fancy stuff in there. You then want to create a env file. Now these are just default values, this won't be running except for when I'm recording. You want to create a Postgres user, Postgres password, Postgres database name, and the time zone as well, which all goes into the NAN file. Now if you do back these files up to GitHub, make sure your env file is not included. Do not upload your env file, please. That's everything you'll need to get set up and running with NAN. Once you're done with that, just sudo docker compose up-d. There are a couple commands you'll need to run as well, which is in the description below. You'll first need to run this command here, sudo rm-rf init sql, because sometimes Postgres can create its database wrong and it will fail on launch. And then if you run this command here, it will then just set up a database called Gerald memory for us. Head over to your browser, we'll head on to NAN, and you'll be presented with this screen here. So I'm on my IP address 56789, and it will default to /setup. Okay, so in here, just type in an email address. There you go. So once you're in here, you can just click get started. You don't have to fill anything else out here. And what's important is you can get a free license key for NAN. So hit your email in here and send me a free key, and click down here for usage and plan, because we're going to enter the activation key. This will give us more advanced features in NAN for free. This is what the email looks like, by the way. You'll see your license key here. Just grab that and just paste the key in there and hit activate. Boom, we've got Community Edition. Once you then have NAN activated on the Community Edition, what you want to do is come to Personal here, and we're going to create a new folder, and we're just going to call this Gerald 2.0, and then inside here we're going to create our workflow. Now, it's important to name them because we're going to have quite a few sub workflows in a few videos time, so we'll just call this Gerald main, and then we have the option to add our first step. So we're not going to create an application today inside of Xcode or VS Code like I did for the last Gerald. We're going to keep everything local to NAN at the moment. So our trigger we're going to do on chat message, and then when you click it, this will pop up. Just enable make available an NAN chat hub, and then we'll just call this Gerald. So this is how we're going to be testing him at the moment, and we'll just add some test prompts like tell me a joke. You can add whatever you like down here, this is up to you, but that's it. That's all we need there. And then what we then need next is our AI. And now we're not just going to connect Ollama, we're going to create an AI agent. So if you search for agent, you'll see AI agent here, and then it fills a lot of this out for you on the first instance. So this is correct, our chat input, which is what it will be. But down under here, there's going to be a couple of options I want to add. So I want to add system message and max iterations. So I don't like it when AIs sound plain and boring. So in my system message, I'm just going to tell it to always be sarcastic. I got some comments on the last Gerald video asking how can I make sure it doesn't just give up and stop answering the prompt successfully. So in max iterations, I'm going to set this to 50. Now what that means is this AI agent here, which will control most of our workflows, will be able to go to 50 different tools. Now you can set this as high as you like. It'll just take sometimes a bit longer to answer if it feels like it needs it. Now this is looking quite simple so far. All we have is a chat message and an AI agent. Now, an AI agent can't do anything without a chat model. So inside of chat model, this is where you can actually add your API keys if you wanted to, but over here, we're not about that life. We're going to go to Ollama chat model, and this is where you'll need to add a credential, which I've already done. If you haven't done Ollama yet, I have a video which I'll tag in the top right corner now, which is how to set it up. All you need to do is add a base URL, so the IP address of the server that's running the AI model, or if it's your current machine, just type localhost, and then just click save. You don't need an API key. we can just hit retry and you'll see we test successfully. And then you'll see all the models pop up. So I'm going to use Llama 3.2 today. There's a lot of AI model settings that you can customize here. So for example, keep alive. I can say how long after each message do I want it alive for, which can actually speed up your responses because sometimes these models will downclock themselves and go to sleep. So I'll go 5 minutes. So after every message, it'll stay awake for 5 minutes. Let's add a simple memory tool, which will bounce off the session ID. Once you have a simple memory added, we're just going to hit publish. Over here on N8N, you'll notice the chat window. I'm going to click here to workflow agents and then to Gerald. So you'll see our test prompt here. Let's just click it. Let's see if it can tell me a joke. That was rapid. Why don't eggs tell jokes? Because they'd crack each other up. Let's just ask it, hello, how are you as well? That way when the AIs take over in 5 years, they'll hopefully remember. Hello, I'm just a computer program. Da-da-da, what's on your mind? So there you go. So now we have an agent that we can talk to on a GUI, but this is just talking with Ollama. This is nothing special. We need to add some tools in here really. I'm going to add an SSH tool so that Gerald can interact with the AI server that it's locally running on. So I'm going to go to tool and then call N8N workflow tool. So this is how we're going to create sub workflows within sub workflows. Database is fine. And then we just want to create new sub workflow here. Once you're inside here, this is your subflow. And we just need to change a couple of things here straight away. So when executed, open this up, add a field, just name this command, and you can leave it as a string, that's fine. And then you can delete this node because it's just a blank and just type SSH and then execute a command. Now we need to add a credential. This credential is used to access it. So it can be localhost or the IP address of the server you want it to access. And then the username for it, and then its password. Once you save, hopefully you get a connection tested successfully. If you don't, just make sure that you do have a user set up for this. We can actually test that it works. I can just do like CD and execute. And if I come to executions at the top, looks like there's nothing actually in its directory, which is fine, but it did execute on the server, otherwise it would have failed. What we need to do is to get the command variable from here into here, but first we need to publish this workflow, then we can rename it as well. So let's just call this, we'll call it AI server SSH tool, come into Gerald main, and then we can rename up here as well. And that's important to give these tools a description. The AI agent will use the description to know when to use it. So I will say here, use this when I ask you to take actions on the AI server. And then you'll see down here the workflow inputs. Now that it's set, you just want to click this AI button. And what that means is the model can decide what command to pass through because it will scan the workflow and know what to do. Okay, let's publish that. And then if you remember, we need to jump back into here just to tidy this up a little bit. So what I can do is I will go to Gerald on our workflow agents and say, can you tell me the host name of our AI server? Now I fully expect this to fail. There you go, perfect. If I go back to Gerald, you'll see that it should have errored because of something wrong here, which is the error with the command. So if I go into SSH server, I just want to change the command here to the command here and then republish, just because the variable doesn't appear for some reason unless it's actually there. So for now, I'm just going to disable memory because we haven't set it up properly. And we'll come back to chat. This time, if we say hello, you'll notice he's a bit more normal. There you go, so there's our reply. And I'm going to ask it this time, can you tell me the host name of our AI server? And now what it should do is actually go and use that SSH command. So this will take hopefully an extra second to answer and not error on us. There you go. So the host name of our AI server is Gerald. So if we go back to N8N and into Gerald main and then executions. So this is where we've just done it. So if we go SSH, so you'll see this actually ran successfully. It pulled the tool, so we know that. And then an AI SSH tool will check this log here as well. And you'll see that it actually did get it. So it passed the command host name through. So if I go back into chat and workflow agents, let's ask it something a little bit more advanced. Something a bit more useful would be asking it to check our server health. So check our server health and list Docker containers that are actively running. So let's see what Gerald does with this at the moment, with this information. There you go, so it's answered to our server health. So you can see that we've had some uptime of 2 hours. So that's when the server was brought up. Disk usage as well. There you go, it's even offered to run a different command if needed, but the server appears healthy. So now we have a server agent that runs locally. This is all it took to get there. And finally, we're just going to give it some actual up-to-date knowledge. So I'm just going to publish with the Wikipedia tool. Now this doesn't need any inputs, it just works as is. Jump back to chat with Gerald. And I'm just going to ask, hello, when did WALL-E release? And we'll see if it actually goes to use that Wikipedia tool. So the film WALL-E was released on June 24th, 2008. So let's go to our workflow and actually check the execution to see what it did. You can see it used Wikipedia and Ollama twice. But there we go. Here is our baseline for Gerald 2.0. We're going to keep fleshing this out in every video. So our next one, we're probably going to add image generation and a few more tools as well, because I'd like Gerald to do a bit more than just SSH and Wikipedia. What I really want Gerald to be able to do is also have a voice model as well, so that I can talk to it from my iPhone and I'll be like, hey Gerald, turn on the heat and set it to 20 degrees, and it goes through Home Assistant as another tool. So each one of these is going to become a powerhouse for us eventually. But with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Check out the GitHub that I'll have linked below, which will have the Docker Compose, all of the JSONs which you can just import into NAN by coming up to the top and import from file. With that, I will leave it there for today. If you did enjoy, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, because we have a lot more to do with Gerald and make it a bit more powerful. Also, let me know what you're naming your AI that you're building out.